Hello everyone, welcome back to True Reddit. Read's the gathering place for real-life stories that are both wild and intense, and you can only find them on Reddit. Here we don't just tell stories, we dive into the drama, uncover hilarious, controversial, and downright impressive moments that'll make you go, wow. Get ready because the stories coming up will make you laugh, get mad, and maybe even deeply relate. So let's get started. Story 1. I told my boyfriend his thing was small in front of his whole family, and I don't regret it. I don't even know where to start. Maybe with the fact that my boyfriend, who's 18 years older than me, has a borderline disturbing obsession with butt stuff. Yep, you read that right. I'm 29, he's 47. And if you think the age gap is the weirdest thing about our relationship, buckle up. Everything came to a head at our close friend's wedding. We both had a bit too much to drink, but still sober enough to completely destroy our dignity in front of family and friends. I was chatting with some friends when one of his buddies walked over laughing and said, "Hey, you should probably go get your boyfriend, he's saying some crazy stuff." I just shrugged and said, "He gets weird when he's drunk." No surprise there. I figured the guy was joking, so I didn't give it much thought. I should have. A few minutes later, I saw my boyfriend standing in a circle of people, including some of his family members, vividly describing how much I love doggy style. Not just talking about it, full-on body movements like an amateur porn star. My face turned bright red. I walked up to him, leaned in, and whispered, "Can you stop? Please." He stopped. For about 10 minutes. Then he started again, louder this time. "She's obsessed with getting pounded from behind." I was speechless. My friends stood frozen. His parents were sitting right at the next table. And then, as if that humiliation wasn't enough, he shouted, "You like it up the ass, don't you? You love that pain, right?" I don't know what devil took over my soul in that moment, but the words that flew out of my mouth were pure, unfiltered rage. It doesn't even hurt. When your dock is that small, boom! You could hear a pin drop. The room fell dead silent. I stood up, walked out, and didn't look back. Afterwards, he completely lost it. Called me disrespectful. Said I humiliated his manhood in front of his family and friends. He screamed at me I was just joking. "You're cruel." And I'll admit it, yes. I meant to embarrass him. But I don't feel guilty. Because if you think humiliating a woman in front of her partner's family is just joking, then you clearly never learned basic decency. And by the way, what I said about him being small isn't even a lie. But that's beside the point. And this wasn't even the first red flag. Want to hear what's in my Reddit post history? My boyfriend wants me to suppress my gag reflex. My boyfriend has known me since I was a kid. My boyfriend spent $1,000 on a full anal toy kit. Should I buy toys to take control during backdoor play? If you accidentally slip it in the back, is it still an accident? Yeah, you're not hallucinating. This man is obsessed with butt stuff. And me? I'm seriously questioning how I even got into this mess. I used to think dating someone older meant maturity, stability, emotional safety. Nope. I ended up with a man-child in a middle-aged body, sexually obsessed, zero sense of boundaries, and who apparently thinks screaming about butt stuff in front of his parents is peak entertainment. I don't need a man who makes me embarrassed every time we step outside. I don't need to fake enjoying something just to stroke his ego. And I sure as hell don't need to be the punchline of someone else's sick bedroom comedy. Someone asked me later, "Don't you think you went too far saying that in front of everyone?" No. Actually, if I could go back, I'd say it louder, clearer, and maybe even throw in some centimeter measurements while I was at it. Because women don't deserve to be publicly humiliated by their own partners, especially not by men who treat your body and sex life like a stand-up routine. I deserve respect. And so do you. If you've ever been in a relationship where you felt humiliated, disrespected, or turned into a public joke, you're not crazy for feeling hurt. You have the right to speak up. You have the right to leave. Remember, no one has the right to turn your private life into public entertainment. And if it takes one painful truth to reclaim your dignity, then speak it. loud. Story 2. He was obsessed with his D&D friend while I was left alone and pregnant. I used to think I was the luckiest woman in the world. You know that kind of love straight out of a Disney movie. You meet the right person, live happily ever after, no sugar needed, because it's already so sweet it could rot your teeth. That was me and my husband, until I realized he was in love with someone else. And it wasn't me. It was a girl from his Dungeons and Dragons group. When I found out I was pregnant, it wasn't a surprise. We had been trying. We tracked ovulation, planned every step together. I thought it made him feel like a part of it all, like an excited soon-to-be dad. But the moment those 2 pink lines appeared, I felt like I was celebrating alone. He smiled. But that smile, it didn't reach his eyes. And slowly I noticed his time with me got shorter and shorter. The sweet check-ins, the random hugs, the cozy nights cuddled on the couch watching old movies, all replaced with, "I've got a D&D session tonight." That group had 3 guys and 1 woman, Natalie. And somehow Natalie always seemed to be the reason he was staying out later. I tried not to be jealous. I mean, he's my husband. We're having a baby. Surely Natalie was just a board game buddy. Right. But you know that sick, gnawing feeling deep in your gut when something's just wrong. It doesn't scream. It eats at you quietly. It pulls you under. And eventually it drives you mad. One night he said he'd be home by 10. I waited until 11:30. No answer when I called. His text, "Go to sleep, babe. We're finishing up a campaign." So I lay there alone, my swollen ankles aching, my baby kicking like he was trying to drum his way out. No hand rubbing my belly. No one asking, "Are you hungry?" Just cold silence. Then one day I stumbled upon some messages between him and Natalie. Nothing explicit. No "I love you," no nudes, just little things like, "You're the only one who really understands me. Wish I was sitting next to you tonight instead of listening to her complain about pregnancy again." Her. That was me. My hands trembled. I wondered if I was overreacting. But when your husband finds more comfort staying up late texting another woman than being with the mother of his unborn child, maybe you're no longer first in his heart. I decided to confront him. "Is there something going on between you and Natalie?" "Oh, come on. Not this again. This isn't the start. This feels like the end." He accused me of being hormonal, overreacting, jealous, said I was imagining things. But his eyes, they didn't meet mine. And the thing that hurt the most, it wasn't that he might have had feelings for someone else. It was that when I needed him the most emotionally, physically, he chose a fantasy game at a table, and a woman who had nothing to do with the life growing inside me. The day I went into labor, he was late. I was curled up in pain contractions every few minutes when he texted stuck in traffic. "Be there soon." But he wasn't stuck in traffic. He was at Natalie's place. I know because his mom accidentally slipped when she arrived at the hospital. He said he needed to swing by Natalie's to grab some collection thing first. Oh, and Natalie, she called me, not to apologize, to ask if he was going to make it in time for the birth. I laughed. I actually laughed. A bitter, tear-soaked laugh. That was the moment I made up my mind. When our baby turned 1 month old, I packed my things and moved in with my mom. No dramatic fight, no letter, no explanations needed. Because I had seen enough to know my baby, and I deserved better than to be background characters in someone else's role-playing game. The cruel irony. After I left, he texted me one line. "Natalie's not what you think. She's just a friend." I didn't respond. Because when a man lets his friend consume his time, his affection, and the space in his heart that was meant for his family, that word friend, it loses all its meaning. If you've ever felt overlooked by the very person who's supposed to protect you, know this, you're not alone. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for asking to be a priority in the life of someone you love. Real love doesn't make you fight for space in someone's heart. It's given freely, fully, and without conditions. Story 3. I almost lost my boyfriend because I suggested going to a strip club. Have you ever felt like you just dug your own grave and then dove right in? Yeah. I was that girl, the one who invited her boyfriend to a strip club and almost lost him because of it. Ironic, isn't it? This story started when my boyfriend, let's call him Jake, and I planned a weekend getaway. He'd just gotten promoted and I'd wrapped up a huge project at work. We thought, why not blow off some steam? We chose Las Vegas. I know every disaster starts in Vegas, and yet I still said yes. Honestly, I think my brain was left behind on the plane. On our second night there, I was feeling a little overly chill. I felt like I was the cool girlfriend type, open to fun, spontaneous, adventurous stuff. So I said to Jake, wanna try going to a strip club? Just for fun. He looked at me like I had just spoken Klingon. Wait, are you serious? Totally. I'll be there too, so what's the big deal? I even laughed like I was some main character in a movie titled Chill Girlfriend the Sequel, starring me as the understanding, non-jealous, totally cool partner. I deserved an Oscar. No kidding. So we went to this famous club, blazing red lights, bass, heavy music pounding like it wanted to shake your soul, the unmistakable scent of cheap perfume mixed with sweat, a scent I now associate entirely with Vegas. I thought I'd just sip a cocktail, laugh at a few pole tricks and bounce. But nope. Jake morphed into someone else. The first dancer approached and I saw Jake give a shy little smile. Fine. Totally normal. He's a guy. But then she leaned in, touched his thigh, and whispered like honey sliding into his ears, "Want a private dance, baby?" Jake looked at me for a reaction, and me, the queen of poor life decisions, nodded. That 10-second nod, I regretted it for the rest of my life. Jake disappeared into the VIP room with her for 20 minutes. I sat alone, finished my drink, then ordered another. My brain was playing this broken record. You suggested this. You can't be jealous. Don't be jealous. Do not be jealous. Then he came back, face-flushed eyes sparkling like he just watched Titanic, except the lead character was someone's butt. You good? He asked. Yeah, good. I smiled, like a paralyzed mannequin. We went back to the hotel. I didn't say a word. Jake stayed dead silent, too. Next morning, I snapped. So, you really liked her, huh? What, the dancer from last night? You were the one who suggested going, right? Thanks for the reminder. Thanks for turning me from girlfriend into your personal bachelor party planner. For the next month, our relationship just cracked a little. Jake felt guilty but didn't quite understand what he did wrong. And I felt like I had opened the gates of hell with a key I forged myself. We stopped being close. Awkward hugs, half-finished conversations, and that image of her dancing on Jake. It played on loop in my head like a cursed TikTok. Then one day I was venting to my best friend, let's call her Lily. And you know what Lily said, girl? You're the dumbest smart person I know. Huh, like, you throw your man into a mud pit and then get mad when he comes out dirty. What, that hit like a shot of emotional espresso. I called Jake. We sat down. First real talk in weeks. I said I'm sorry for what I thought I was being cool, but I was just an insecure girl pretending to play it chill. I thought you were gonna dump me over that. I almost did. But then I remembered. I started it. We're not perfect. But after that ridiculous strip club night, we learned how to be honest with ourselves. I stopped pretending to be the no-jealousy girlfriend. Jake stopped pretending nothing happened. We became more open, more real. And later on, when we got married, we actually told this story at the wedding as a hilarious what not to do moment. And guess what? People laughed like crazy. So what's the takeaway? Don't think you need to be the perfect girlfriend by ignoring your natural instincts, especially the jealous ones. They exist for a reason, to keep you from making stupid suggestions you'll regret. And if you ever go to a strip club, make sure you don't leave your heart behind in the VIP room. Story 4. I refused to be a bridesmaid because the bride used to bully me all through school. I'm not someone who holds grudges. Seriously, I'm the kind of person who'll forgive you if you accidentally step on my shoes or even if you steal the last slice of pizza. But there's one thing I can't forget, and that's 7 long years of being the emotional punching bag in high school. And guess what? The person who led the bully squad just sent me an invitation to be a bridesmaid at her wedding. Not kidding. Her name is Amanda. If you went to my high school, that name probably still rings in your ears like a fire alarm. Because wherever Amanda went, there were tears drama or someone's backpack filled with shaving cream. In high school, Amanda was the queen bee homecoming queen, cheer captain, beloved by teachers like a Disney princess, and she treated the rest of us like background characters in her personal movie. I, on the other hand, was a bookworm. Braces, thick glasses, hand-knit sweaters from my grandma. I was a walking target. I still remember the first time she noticed me. I just walked into class wearing a cozy cardigan, and Amanda blocked my path. Has anyone ever told you you look like a cat kidnapper? Before I could even process that insult, the whole room erupted in laughter. That year I became the joke, trash stuffed in my backpack. My Facebook spammed with badly photoshopped memes. One time I even walked around with a giant loser sign taped to my back for hours without knowing. Amanda didn't just bully, she breathed it. It was her natural state, constant, relentless, unapologetic. Eventually, I moved away for college, got a job, built a life, and thought I'd buried those high school wounds for good. Then one day, I got a message from Amanda. "Hey girl, long time no see. I've got something exciting. I'm getting married, want to be one of my bridesmaids would mean a lot." I had to read it 3 times. No mistake, it was her. The girl who once dumped orange juice on my head in front of the whole cafeteria. She wanted me to wear a pastel pink dress and toss petals down the aisle at her wedding. I almost didn't reply. But then, I saw she'd tagged me publicly on Facebook. The caption was something sugary like, "We were such cute high school friends. Can't wait to have all my girls together again." Cute high school friends. Me or the locker she stuffed me in for 2 whole periods. I took a sip of coffee, opened my laptop, and typed, "Amanda, thanks for the invite. But honestly, I can't accept. Maybe you've changed, but I haven't forgotten what you put me through in high school. You turned me into a living joke for years. I hope your wedding is amazing with people who truly were your cute high school friends." I hit send, and you know what I felt? Weirdly free. You think that's the end of it, haha. Nope. 2 hours later, I was casually murdered on Facebook via a brand new status, sad, when people can't let go of the past. We've all grown up, right? Whatever's still gonna be an amazing day without the drama queens. Guess who liked that post? Yep, her mom. After that, I got a few DMs from old classmates. "Wow, you hate Amanda that much, didn't think you were that petty. Come on, it's just high school, let it go." I didn't respond. Because if you've never been locked in a bathroom stall with the lights off for wearing the wrong color shirt, then you don't get to tell me to grow up and let it go. A few weeks later, I heard that another bridesmaid dropped out over a fight about dress fittings. And rumor had it, the groom was a total sweetheart, but Amanda's mom hated him. So the wedding? Sure fun. The after drama central. And me? I sat in my cozy apartment, sipped wine, watched Netflix, and smirked. Do I regret not forgiving her? Nope. Do I feel sad for missing out on tossing petals down the aisle? God, no. I don't need to play the role of gracious adult if it means pretending to forget 7 years of trauma. I may not hold grudges, but I'm definitely not putting on a bridesmaid dress for the girl who once stuffed cafeteria pasta into my bike helmet. Story 5. I refused to pay for dinner and got cut off for being cheap. If refusing to foot the bill for 8 other people at a restaurant makes me cheap, rude, and lacking class, then allow me to welcome you to the wonderful story of my former friend group people who don't understand the concept of split fairly and apparently thought I was just a walking wallet. It all started with a Facebook group chat message from an old college friend named Kelly. Hey, guys, let's get together this weekend. It's been forever since we caught up. We're thinking Fancy Oak for dinner Saturday at 7 p.m. Drop a heart if you're in. There were 9 of us old college friends. We'd all gone our separate ways since graduation. Some got married, some moved abroad, some just vanished. I kept in touch here and there, but we weren't exactly the 2 a.m. PHO buddies we once were. I'm not the fine dining type, but I figured, hey, catching up might be nice. So I said yes. Mistake number 1. That night I showed up at Fancy Oak, a cozy little spot with dim candlelight, no prices on the menu, red flag number 1, and waiters in tuxedos who looked like they were about to propose. The group dove into the menu like it was an all-you-can-eat dream, bottles of wine, appetizers for the table, imported ribeyes, decadent desserts. Me, I ordered the mushroom pasta and a glass of tap water because I was saving up for an upcoming trip. Total bill, $850. My order, $1,750. Then came the moment of doom. The server asked, will this be one check or separate? Without hesitation, Kelly chimed in. One check. We'll just split it evenly. It's easier. I actually thought she was joking. I gave a polite laugh, like, ha ha. Yeah, let's not split the lobster tail equally, right? Nope. Everyone at the table nodded in unison like cult members who'd just been blessed. And then, they looked at me. Just me. Like they were waiting for me to pull out my card. I blinked. Hold on. Most of you ordered $40, $60 entrees and $100 bottles of wine. I only got a $17 dish. I don't think splitting evenly is fair. For 2 seconds, the table went dead silent. Then Kelly snapped, wow, are you really going to nickel and dime your friends like that? I replied, I'm saying this because we're friends. If you were strangers, I'd probably be even more annoyed. That's when the meltdown began. Jessica, the same girl who posts daily be kind, always quotes, called me selfish. Dan, the guy who hadn't replied to my messages in 2 years, suddenly had a voice and accused me of only caring about myself. I stayed calm, opened my wallet, left exactly $20 with tip, and stood up. I thought catching up with old friends would be nice. I didn't expect to be paying for everyone's good time. I walked out, didn't look back. The next morning, I was booted from the group chat. Kelly sent me a private message. We're all disappointed in you. Didn't realize you were so calculating. Guess there's nothing left to say. I thought about replying, but honestly, what was there to say? A few weeks later, Tina, one of the girls from the dinner, messaged me. Hey, just wanted to say I actually agree with you. I didn't feel okay with the split either, but I didn't speak up. Sorry I didn't back you. That made me feel a lot better. We're taught to preserve friendships, to be generous, and that sharing is caring. But sometimes people twist those ideals to turn you into their personal credit card. When you draw a line, they call you cheap. When you don't smile and play along, they say you're not chill. But here's the truth. I'd rather lose 8 friends than keep paying to be someone's human ATM. Story 6. I'm the landlord, and I evicted a family for cruel parenting. I never thought I'd be that guy in a Reddit story. You know, the so-called villain. I've always considered myself a fair, compassionate person who gives people the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes life forces you to make a choice, stay silent, and let cruelty thrive or take action, even if it makes you look like the bad guy. I'm a 38-year-old single man living in a decently sized city, not too big, not too dull. I inherited a 2-story house from my parents, and about 2 years ago I started renting out the ground floor for some extra income. Everything had been smooth until they moved in. The family was made up of 4 people: Jeff the father, Lisa the mother, and 2 kids, Tyler about 10, and his younger sister Emma around 7. When they first came to see the place, something felt off. They weren't rude, but they weren't warm either. Lisa spoke like she was giving orders, and Jeff barely said a word except to confirm the rent. I should have trusted my gut. But I'm a softie. I let them move in at the end of spring. Things seemed okay at first. But just a few weeks in, I started hearing things that didn't sit right. These weren't your everyday family arguments. I'm talking full-blown screaming, angry, violent yelling that felt more like a meltdown than parenting. I overheard Lisa berating Tyler for not folding his clothes just the way she wanted. I heard Jeff roaring at Emma for talking with an attitude. One night I heard something heavy crash against the floor, followed by Emma's muffled sobs. That night I knocked on their door. Lisa answered with the fakest smile I've ever seen. I asked if everything was okay. "Oh, just a little discipline. You know how kids are, they need boundaries," she said. Look, I know what discipline is. That wasn't discipline. That was emotional terrorism. A few days later, I saw Tyler standing in the front yard baking under the blazing sun, holding a giant textbook against his chest. He looked completely still, head down, sweating. I walked over and asked, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing out here?" He mumbled. "Mom said I have to stand here for 30 minutes because I got a math problem wrong." That was it. I marched straight to their door and told Lisa I didn't want punishments like that happening on my property. She smirked and said, "They're my kids. I'll raise them how I see fit." So I reported them to Child Protective Services. They came. They did their interviews. But in the end, the report came back with that classic line, "Not enough evidence of severe abuse." I don't blame the agents. The system is broken and full of blind spots. After that, things got tense. Lisa and Jeff stopped acknowledging me. Tyler and Emma disappeared from view. No more laughter, no games in the yard. Just silence. And the occasional heartbreaking whimper through the floorboards. Then one night I was getting ready for bed when I heard a loud bang downstairs. I rushed to their door, knocked nothing. But from inside I heard muffled sobbing and Jeff's booming voice. "I told you not to misspell that word. I called the police. They showed up within 10 minutes. No arrests, but they forced Jeff and Lisa to take the kids for a medical evaluation and meet with a social worker." I thought maybe that would be the turning point. I was wrong. 3 nights later, I got a phone call from Tyler. I never gave him my number. Turns out the poor kid had secretly copied it from his mom's lease paperwork. His voice was trembling. "Sir, my mom and dad locked Emma in the storage room since this afternoon. I'm scared." I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my keys and drove over. I let myself in with the landlord's key, ran to the back, and unlocked the storage room. There she was, Emma sitting alone in the pitch black, eyes swollen from crying, shivering. I picked her up, and my heart shattered. The next morning, I served an official notice terminating their lease due to severe ethical violations. I also filed a second report this time with more urgency, more documentation, and the police backing me up. Lisa and Jeff are now facing a criminal investigation for child abuse. Tyler and Emma. They're currently with a foster family who also happens to be close friends of mine. I visit them regularly. I take Tyler to soccer every weekend and read bedtime stories to Emma on Sundays. They're starting to smile again, starting to laugh, but some wounds. They don't go away so easily. I know some people might say I should have acted sooner, that I should have kicked them out the first time I heard the yelling. They're probably right. But I wanted to believe the best. I wanted to believe they were just overwhelmed. I was wrong. I'm not writing this to get praised. I'm writing this because maybe you hear things through your walls. Maybe you see signs that something isn't right. Maybe you have the power to step in. Please don't ignore that feeling, because somewhere out there, another Emma and Tyler are waiting for someone to speak up, waiting for someone to save them before it's too late. Story 7. My daughter-in-law refused to care for my injured son. So I exposed her entire family. Told from a mother's perspective in first person, I never thought I'd be the villain in someone's family drama. But sometimes life hands you a choice. Stay silent and let someone you love suffer or speak up, even if it turns the spotlight and the gossip right onto you. I'm 56 years old, a retired nurse with nearly 3 decades in the field, living a quiet life in a southern suburb. I have one son, Jake, who's 28. He's my miracle baby, the child I was told I might never have after years of fertility treatment. He's kind, smart, and fiercely loyal to his family. A few years back, Jake married Natalie. At first, I was thrilled. She seemed sweet, polite, and presentable, everything a mother-in-law could hope for. But let's just say, some people wear masks, and Natalie started to slip pretty early. She's what I like to call a public angel, private tyrant. Perfectly pleasant in front of others, but in the home she nitpicked Jake over the tiniest things like folding towels the wrong way or not rinsing the sink after shaving. Jake would always downplay it. She's just a bit of a perfectionist, Mom. It's no big deal. And then Jake got hit by a car while out jogging. It was serious, 2 broken legs, a punctured lung, and a mild brain bleed. He was in a coma for 4 days and hospitalized for almost 2 weeks. I was the first person at the hospital. Natalie arrived 3 hours later. And when she walked into the room, her first question wasn't, "Is Jake okay?" It was, "Do you have an outlet for my charger?" I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was in shock. Maybe it hadn't hit her yet. But the next 2 weeks told me everything I needed to know. While Jake was in the hospital, I was there 24/7. I washed him, fed him, talked to doctors, updated the charts. When he finally woke up, the first hand he reached for was mine. Natalie. She showed up for a couple hours here and there. One time she posted a photo of Jake unconscious, captioned, "My strong man, blessed," and then left. Once Jake was discharged, I offered to move in temporarily to help with recovery. Jake couldn't walk, couldn't bathe himself, couldn't even get to the bathroom alone. Natalie agreed, but with conditions. "You can stay," she said, "but you're not allowed to use anything in the kitchen. That's my space." I nodded, said okay, and brought my own electric kettle. But every single day, I witnessed neglect. Jake was left alone for hours. She didn't change his sheets, forgot his meds, and served him food that had spoiled. One afternoon, I found Jake sweating and wincing in bed. "Mom, I've been calling Natalie for help, but she's been in the other room with her headphones on, playing video games." I lost it. I confronted her as calmly as I could. "Natalie, he needs you. You're his wife. He's in pain and he's helpless. Please." She rolled her eyes like I was a burden. "You're the nurse, right? You take care of him. Don't tell me how to do things." So I started documenting. I logged every hour she ignored him. I noted missed medications, spoiled food, even verbal abuse. I installed a small security camera in the living room with full disclosure for safety and liability, which they agreed to when they moved in. That camera captured her snapping at Jake. "Get your lazy A up and get your own water. I'm not your maid." So I planned a family dinner and invited Natalie's parents. After we ate, I connected my phone to the TV. With zero emotion, I played the clip. Natalie's parents sat there frozen. Natalie shrieked, "You violated my privacy," I said calmly. "It's our agreed-upon security system, and you knew it was there. But let's talk about privacy. What about your husband's dignity? You've abandoned him." I turned to her parents. "I'm not doing this to shame anyone, but I've spent nights in the ER watching strangers treat each other with more kindness than Natalie gives her own husband. I raised Jake with love, and I won't stand by while he's treated like furniture." There was dead silence. "I'm not suing," I said. "But if Jake files for divorce and seeks custody in the future, this footage is going straight to his lawyer." Natalie went pale. She stormed out, bawling over the phone to someone. Her parents apologized. I just shook my head. I don't need an apology. I need my son to be respected. A week later, Jake told me, "Mom, I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I was wrong. I want a divorce." Natalie tried to demand spousal support. Unfortunately for her, Jake had recorded a phone call where she admitted, "I don't care about him, I just need help with rent." She didn't get a dime. Today, Jake is fully recovered. He's living on his own and dating someone new, a nurse, funnily enough. She's sweet, grounded, and actually cares. As for me, I still hear whispers from Natalie's extended family calling me nosy, dramatic, even controlling. But I don't care. I didn't just save Jake from a toxic marriage, I freed him. And I'd do it all over again. Because when you're forced to choose between being nice and being a mother, I'll choose mother every single time. And that's a wrap. These stories don't just entertain us. They remind us that everyone at some point has to stand up for themselves in the toughest situations. If you've ever been through something similar or simply love hearing real-life stories packed with drama, don't hesitate to drop a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on the next exciting Reddit tales. Thank you for joining True Reddit Reads. See you in the next video.